So, the burning question, is Modern Warfare 4's multiplayer any good? The reveal happened today, and that went right into the beta for the first time in the years that we've seen reveals like this shared communally since 2019 and the more recent format of COD Next from Modern Warfare 2 onward. But what's nice this time around is you can try it out for yourself, not necessarily waiting for 24 hours or so to jump in and see what you think, having to rely exactly on what we talk about here in this video. So first things first, I'd recommend trying it out if you can. If not, try to get a code or wait it out for the open beta because, as always, your feelings may not be the same as mine. I'm just a random guy on the internet with a microphone, but today I did want to break down a bit of what you can expect, some good, some bad, some general thoughts on the build we have now, and everything in between. So drop your thoughts down below, drop a like if you enjoy the video, and make sure to subscribe for more Modern Warfare 4 and other FPS coverage. We do have a very busy fall upcoming. I'd love to have in the community for all that. Finally, check out my friends over at Advanced GG, where code Espresso can get 10% off your entire order, but more on that a little later. For now, though, let's get into it. So first, let's start out with a general feel of the game. Like, what does this actually feel like if you haven't jumped in? The movement was surprisingly fluid, but it's something that after cold starting, not playing COD in months, my immediate reaction was a middle ground between Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2. I'd say more so use the base of Modern Warfare 2 and then lean towards Modern Warfare 2019, not the other way around, where you can still feel some of that resistance if your settings aren't entirely dialed, but the speed and pace of which you moved and could slide were absolutely noticeable compared to Infinity Ward's last project of Modern Warfare 2. I've seen some mention of people talking like, oh, it feels like Modern Warfare 2 mixed with Modern Warfare 3. However, I personally lean towards that Modern Warfare 2 comparison, more so just because of the weapon bounce. Infinity Ward and Modern Warfare 2019 had some of the same bounce to weapons when firing, while Modern Warfare 3 was a more classic, easy to control sort of recoil and weapon firing animations. It's just the thing that Infinity Ward loves to do with their weapon models and their gunplay with that's why I compare those two together. But Modern Warfare 3 still isn't necessarily a too far off comparison. I just think Modern Warfare 2 as a base, leaning Modern Warfare 2019 is a bit more accurate in my opinion. Now, had this been what Modern Warfare 2 was, I think that I'd have been a lot happier back in 2022. Whether or not that's what I want in 2016, the jury's still out preliminarily because pacing's still quite high, which we'll touch on in a second, but far better fluidity than Modern Warfare 2 and what we had by comparison to Infinity Ward's last project. Generally speaking, I do think that there's a lot of elements of DMZ that we've yet to see kind of bleed through just yet because we haven't had them revealed. Like, had you told me DMZ was a core pillar in the foundational tech of this game mechanically speaking, like it was a driving component in Modern Warfare 2, if you said that they did that again, I'd probably believe you, but that is perhaps a different story for a different day. I think the big elephant in the room when it comes to Modern Warfare 4 right now in the beta, especially as of late, is matchmaking, of course, is going to be a huge point of the experiences. Now, we've talked about this in yesterday's matchmaking discussion, but if that's something you feel strongly about, I heavily encourage you to take part in the open matchmaking playlist during the beta so that you can log your data as one of the hopefully many people that go into the open matchmaking and show that there is a high priority for that. Perhaps force a reconsideration. Again, at the very least, do it within the open beta. Again, if you don't have a pre-order or you don't have a beta code, I wouldn't stress too much about it if you don't really care too much to be like, hey, I'm gonna go out of my way to get this. Like, don't stress yourself. But if you do play, and this is something that is on your mind, open matchmaking is there, and this is your best way to use yourself as data to force the hand. I played about maybe 2 hours of genuine public lobbies after a few hours of our multiplayer reveal event that was all creators, and I only played open. And listen, I'll be the guy to admit, I didn't play a ton of Black Ops 7. I was just burnt out, wanted something else. So I didn't play for most of the year, launch and like the Blackout launch were the times I came back. So I personally don't know this hard shift in matchmaking that we saw with season, 5? But I do remember the beta and launch of last year with the open and where that felt, or as close as you can remember, comparing memories from a year back. But it felt similar. However, I will say right now, day one of a air quote closed beta, it's always going to be sweats. There's no way around that, so I don't know that just yet how truly open versus not this was. Like, second game on public lobbies, and I got matched against Warzone Pro Shifty, a 3-time world champion who was in my next lobbies just a few matches before, got matched up against with destroyed me for what it's worth. But like, is it truly open, coincidence, or the onboarding of all these players limiting the potential pool? I think it could potentially be all three of those, but again, that's one thing to consider. As more and more people check it out, gradually you'll find a more even experience, but it's not always a guarantee for the matchmaking side of things. I can't really give you an adequate assessment until there's been more time played. But again, if that's a pain point for you, play open, put all your energy into that basket if you want to see a change. But let's then talk about some of the gameplay good developments and then some of the bad. I think some of the things that might be pain points for players. The good, I mean, as sad as it is to start on this level, red dots are on the minimap by default. It feels terrible to say that that's like our first good gameplay development here and an improvement, but I mean, after the last two Infinity Ward titles, not having them there, I mean, man, I'm just happy to have that as a normal minimap once again. That to me is one of the key things here at this. Again, and if you're in the same sort of camp, one of these things that's been debated for years and years at this point with Infinity Ward titles, same with Ninja. Now, that's not definitive dead silence, but honestly, I think it's a win either way because you also don't have a dead silence field upgrade to decrease footstep audio, or at least you don't have in the beta. I kind of think that what we see is everything we're going to have field upgrade and like streaks wise and stuff like that, because we do have things that go upwards of level 55, which is not accessible to us within the beta weekend 1 or 2. So I kind of think that they might not throw that in there, but I mean, hey, good development there that you have Ninja by default as a perk that you want. And speaking of, I actually don't mind the perk balance right now. I think that perk 1 is by far the most competitive and strongest tier of perks between Quick Fix, which is very useful with this TTK, which we'll touch on in a second. But between Quick Fix, Ninja, and Ghost, potentially High Alert if that's a perk you use often, it's a pretty strong perk 1 offering that you have to consciously consider your playstyle and how you want to go about your matches. I feel like perk balance is always something that is really hard to do for some reason. Like there's a lot of games in the COD franchise where like there's no really pros or cons to taking one perk over the other. There are a few crutch perks in some categories, but others that it's not like super competitive. Point streaks are something that I didn't really have on my bingo card, if I'm honest with you. Objective play is rewarded, which is definitely nice, but not necessarily in the sort of just dichotomy of kills versus score streaks like we've seen in recent years. Point streaks awarding you for things like planting the bomb in search. You end up getting every tag you collect and kill confirmed. I think it was like a quarter of a point streak. Capturing a domination point is something that I think also awards you one. So like, it's something that does award you for that objective style of play, but as we'll say for the streaks themselves in a more rigid fashion, which speaking of, how they deal with these streaks is certainly interesting. It now seems to be a 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 static set of streaks, or -1 with hardline, where it kind of leaves a little bit less creativity in terms of what you'll see outside of just those thresholds. But in a more rigid manner, I don't necessarily know if I hate that right now. Like, we'll see if that still carries forward in the future, like in terms of my thoughts on that, but like, it's interesting because it's a set thing for everybody. You're not going to have somebody that goes on a 5 kill streak getting something outside of hardline again, whereas somebody else wouldn't have a 5 kill streak equipped. So that's interesting. The menu is still a little weird to the touch, I'll admit, but I do think it's better. Having to use your left thumbstick or D-pad to pull over the create a class menus, kind of weird on controller. Mouse and keys, you obviously don't have to do that. You just have to go over to it. But it feels to me more intuitive than the Hulu designs, but that's also coming from somebody that just hates with a passion the Huluification of everything. So like, very possible I'm biased here. That said, that's some good stuff I think that they added in with this game. Let's talk about some potential problem points, some pain points that you, myself, and anybody else may experience. Number 1, it's fast. Like I said, coming back to the pacing topic here of this, listen, I'm not nearly as good at COD as I used to be. Like, I'm out of my heyday, dude. I'm unk status, as the kids would say nowadays, and I get that. So it's a fast game. I know for a lot of people, that's not a good thing. For a lot of others, they love that kind of stuff. It's all subjective, but to me, it's a noticeable middle ground between what we had from Modern Warfare 2 and a lot faster paces of games we've had otherwise. Like, this isn't the fastest Call of Duty we've had, but it's certainly not the slowest. That said, what is fast is also TTK. It's quick, like insanely quick. I have died in, where it shows, 2 shots. 3 being most of what I died to, and then 4 is also where you'll see, like with extremities, 4 and 5, extremities, your feet, arms, upper legs, stuff like that, that where you take those clusters of shots, it will dictate where. However, it does appear that the headshot multiplier is wild at the moment. Like, that's how you end up getting a 2-shot kill, is 1 headshot mixed in with seemingly everything else in that cluster of the upper body. So it is quick, and especially with some of the netcode, depending on how you have your connection set up, wired, Wi-Fi, bandwidth, all that kind of stuff, mixed with whatever else is in your lobby, it could be something that you're dying very quick. Even with a very good connection, I felt myself absolutely dying very fast. So that's something that might be a pain point for a lot of people. I wouldn't be surprised if it's dialed back a little bit for the launch of the game, but also I could see them keeping that because, I mean, to me, I feel like it's comparable to Modern Warfare 2019. Tac Sprint also could be another problem point for people. That is back, and I don't think there's a way to disable this by default. I could be wrong, but I mean, I 100% get it. I saw a few people that were like, oh man, it's back. I don't want to deal with this again. I get that, but it is back. Spawns, relatively abysmal. Granted, some of these maps are small, but even on the larger maps that we have right now, I've had situations of spawning right next to people or that they've spawned right next to me, and that's something that shouldn't be happening. Obviously, that is something that will be fixed out in the near future, I'd imagine. The thing with spawns and how you test them is that you can test internally as much as you want, but these dev teams are at most, what, a few hundred people at each studio? So you're testing them internally with a few hundred people that could be playing 8 hours a day. However, let's say that year span for those 100 people or whatever, you put this out into a playable build right now where there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people checking it out across all your platforms, you're going to get more data in that first day than you likely will of all of that time for testing internally of just a smaller number of people. So the amount of data that's probably going to be collected here on the back end, I would imagine, is just astronomical. So I'd say that that probably impacts some of how these decisions for spawn logic are made in the near future, but just right now they're pretty bad. Visual recoil and smoke is still apparent. Some weapons more than others, absolutely. Like me using predominantly an M4. I didn't notice it a whole ton, but also I'm not going to discount that because I know and I've seen clips of this where it is crazy. If you play kill block and gunfight there, you'll see some of these insane builds with some of these other weapons that, like, you're like, how did that get greenlit? Like, that doesn't make sense. So that's still absolutely a pain point for sure. Aim assist is something that I want to acknowledge this just because, personally speaking, I play everything other than Call of Duty on mouse and keys. So this was me picking up a controller again for the first time in like 6 months, where I personally didn't feel like it was too insane. And it feels like they kept the in-close lack of aim assist from a few engagements I saw to a minimum, if anything at all. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but if you test this in the firing range, you'll absolutely feel the incredible slowdown. But with the pace of the game, how many elements can break aim assist out in the open or like as your aim crosses over something, how that feels in reality of a match, I couldn't tell you exactly. Like, this is something that definitely, that feel, the feels type of moment, is going to take a little bit more time to adequately get down. I'm sure this will be a topic of discussion though, as it always is, however. Weapon progression is also something that I've seen a lot of people touch on, and rank I can't really speak to. COD with the next reveal event preloaded our accounts with level 20, so we were already max level. I'm not sure what the XP is like in that regard, but weapon leveling, I'm very interested to see what this shapes up to be. If this is going to be sped up at all, slowed down at all, which I can't imagine it would be. Initially, early leveling of the M4 felt fast, like 4 games for level 20 or something. Maybe less, I don't remember, but the scaling as you get higher in levels, it's kind of to be expected, but it did feel pretty long. I need more time again to adequately say one way or the other again, but that may be a pain point for some players. Personally, I also didn't like the fact that there was no way to see map and mode selections in a mosh pit when you're queued up until you're in them. They did state that there will be map voting when we have 4 maps in rotation, so starting maybe tomorrow perhaps, which makes sense. You essentially veto maps with only 3 there if you choose the random selection, so it's a guarantee at that point to pick and choose any of the maps you want, but especially in a mosh pit, I just want to know and see what I'm going to be playing as it loads in. I think that's certainly helpful. Now, outside of that, there are actual gameplay issues. Like, this isn't just stuff that I think is pain points. Like, people have actually had genuine problems with this. When the game launched with the beta, there was a checking for updates loop as the time of this video being published. I don't know if that's fixed or not just yet, but that was something that a lot of people were having issues of. So unfortunately, that might take away from some of your playtime today, but it should be something that is going to be worked out and fixed very soon because it has been affecting so many people and is genuinely game breaking. Like, you can't get into the game itself. I've also seen people mention that PC performance is abysmally bad. But with PC and with everyone's systems being different, all I can say is to be cautious of that because I haven't personally experienced any issues. But again, not to discount anybody else's because there's so many people talking about this. I just can't guarantee any sort of thing in that regard. I've noticed a lot of dead slides as well within the game. So that's something that will be an input issue potentially on my end, potentially something on the game's end. But there's quite a few times of situations of dead slides. But all of that said here, I think all of the following can be true. I feel like the reception that I'm seeing online is people either love it they think that it's okay, or they hate it. But like, it's more so skewed in the love or hate category, right? So I think the following can all simultaneously be true. I think that this game can be an improvement upon the foundations that Infinity Ward put before it with Modern Warfare 2, which isn't hard to do given my sentiment on Modern Warfare 2. Did not like that game. Might even go so far as to say hate. But you can also feel valid with burnout, franchise fatigue, and just be like, COD's not it anymore. That's totally fine. And I also think that you can say that Call of Duty is just Call of Duty. Not in a good or bad way, it's just kind of how it is. So overall feelings here with this, like, listen, I took a year off essentially, coming back to see what this is like. It's familiar. It's a Call of Duty. For me, while I enjoyed coming back here, the multiplayer experience is what we've all kind of come to expect. I think it's both valid to get excited for this if you have like the recent experiences, and I think it's entirely valid to be like, why are we doing this again? Like, this looks exactly like any of the other games in the last couple of years. Playing in a bubbled environment for the reveal event and then jumping into those first impressions of regular gameplay itself, I still need to get a genuine better feel of what the matchmaking system is like again as time progresses. See how agonizing or how fair that it is truly to know the general feel and what will be a baseline, because, totally honest, hundreds of creators queuing up and trying to get footage and then the most diehard players jumping into the first lobbies, they're not nearly indicative of the general player base and what we have with those matches and how those matches will go. I'm not going to lie to you and say that this is a game changer. Like, I don't think that this game moves the needle for a lot of people. I don't think it's going to be the best thing ever. I enjoyed my playtime early. I did, which you can queue up all the shield comments or whatever because, oh my god, Espresso liked the game. But you guys have probably seen all of my disdain for Modern Warfare 2 and Infinity Ward's last project, their communication, how they've handled themselves as a studio. I took a whole year off of COD this past year because I just didn't care. So I'm being straight with you. I don't have anything riding on this. If I don't like Call of Duty, I just won't make Call of Duty content. We've made that shift before. It is what it is. But my initial level of enjoyment, I had fun playing this with my friends. Again, fully recognizing it's not necessarily anything groundbreaking. It's nothing crazy. But coming back, how much of that is after a 6-month hiatus? How much of that is feeling fresh? How much of that is playing in a bubble without too much of the standard matchmaking? How much of this is honeymoon phase? Who knows? The opinions certainly can and likely will change as time progresses. Like, I mean, Call of Duty is historically known to blunder things post-launch and how they handle either content rollout, comms, whatever the case. So I'm going to be critical when there's a time to be critical. But for the time being, initially speaking, I enjoyed my time and will be playing more this weekend. Now, admittedly, I don't think for a lot of people this will move the needle, like we said. I think that for a lot of other people, it might be the Modern Warfare title they've kind of been waiting for. That part's subjective. What I will say is that I think Call of Duty is essentially like Madden, 2K now, that kind of route in the last few years. Minute changes, additions, technically progressing in the offering in this sort of underlying tech, while to the average eye, not examining it with a microscope, can and will say that it feels the same. I think that those can both simultaneously be true. I think there's a very reasonable approach to the entire thing here, that it's for some people and not for others. I think it's fair to feel burnt out on the franchise. I think it's fair to feel like it's somewhat stagnant. But I also think that it's fair to say that for tons of people, that's fine. That's all they want, is that underlying loop and some new stuff to play with. Now, for me, when I say that it's worth the $70 base or whatever, I don't know. I think that we still have to see the sort of DMZ offering, the campaign offering in a bit more fuller perspective. I haven't played the new campaign mission just yet in the beta, so that's something that will definitely be, I'll be checking out. But for the time being, again, I just don't have that to give any adequate thoughts on. But for me, if I get burnt out, I'll go play some other games and enjoy those as well. Again, I hope it's become apparent at this point that I don't care in the sense that, like, if I'm not enjoying a game, if I come to think that something after launch is some BS, I'll stop playing and supporting the title. With that in mind, if you feel the same or you feel skeptical, I wouldn't pre-order. Hell, I don't do that anyway with anything, even if I do enjoy the game, that you can consider putting that money elsewhere if it's not your thing. Personally, for me, if you're wanting a rating or something like that, I'd say that right now it's a 7 out of 10. I personally didn't see anything that was massively wrong with the game. Like, there are pain points that can and will be fixed out. I think that aside from the gameplay, performance, menu loops, and things like that, those things will be ironed out. But I also think there's a lot of the same here, but a refined version where I'm enjoying the beta, but some of those questions still are about matchmaking, how they'll handle a grounded nature, post-launch, the usual. Still, to me, I think the most intrigued I am is by DMZ this year, but right now we don't have anything more to really talk about that or to check out. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For the time being, I'm taking it a weekend at a time. I'm enjoying the beta so far on day one. We'll see if that changes or not, but let me know your thoughts down below. that's where we're gonna wrap it up. But before we do, a quick heads up. As you may know, we've been partnering with my friends over at Advanced GG, and we're going into a crazy busy fall with multiple large updates for games like Arc Raiders, the future seasons of Battlefield 6, and new launches in Modern Warfare 4 and GTA 6 and everything in between. So we as players, we're gonna need our energy to keep up. Advanced is the healthier energy supplement option. I use it daily as my comparable cup of coffee. Currently drinking the raspberry lemonade and magic rainbow sherbet as my two favorite flavors that I'd highly recommend. We actually co-branded a few things with Advanced, including an ice shaker and the rainbow sherbet, which I think actually recently sold out, which is really cool. So thanks for the love on that. But for real, I do love their stuff, and if you're looking for a replacement for your own cups of coffee, give this a try. If you decide to give it a go, code Espresso and get 10% off your order, but absolutely no pressure at all. Just appreciate you checking out not only this, but the video as well. But anyways, with that said, that's what we're gonna call it. So let me know your thoughts down below. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe for more Modern Warfare 4 and other FPS coverage. I'd love to have the community. Again, we got a very busy fall upcoming. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine is my Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care, and peace.